Right.
You know what I'll do is I'll just put it in Facebook.
There. 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 Use mics. The mics are on.
Welcome everybody to the. March 2nd, PAB board meeting. With introduction, I'm Larry Knotts, chair of the PAB board.
I'm Ricky Harvey.
Good evening, Arlene Brown. I'm Marissa. Sherry Walker Fuller. Interim director.
Thank you everybody for joining us tonight in person and online. All right, we'll start off with approval of our meeting minutes.
Yeah.
It's already emailed out earlier this week. Anybody have any additions, subtractions to the meeting minutes that are record tonight? Yeah. All right. Motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Ready? Great, thank you for approving the minutes. Next, we have our staff.
Yes, so I have a couple of things, and some of them hopefully we will go back to tonight. Do some updates in terms of operations, lots of training going on. And a series of staff conducting some trainings based on legal standards, some best practices, oversight. Of course, most of February, we've taken up preparing and submitting the budget for 23-24. We'll have more staff trainings that are required and going to the Department of Human Resource Management. And we're really looking forward to the posting of at least 2 positions, our Deputy Chief of Investigations and a part-time English access coordinator. Really important positions. In terms of reports for investigations and policy and oversight, I'll go through those in a second because we have handouts for those voting. Investigations doing a lot of work working through the cases and comparing the ones who will be ready for interviewing groups. So we're working closely to do that. So as part of the report, you have in front of you cases that are asking that you vote on to be closed. So you have to read the PTN number. I do want to point out that the total on the back is 54, but until we still have to work on clarifying case number 2.
These are the cases from last month.
Yes.
That's it.
Then we have to read. Yeah.
I'm saying that we looked at.
Have a question?
All these cases that are not on the
That,
so.
right. So we want to close. They would be in a different topic, and we're going to have more for closing for next time. Maybe not today. These are out of jurisdiction.
I did have a question. There's 3 that say investigative report has to read them.
So the 3 are the oversight. 3 is from the policy and oversight division. Yes, those are 3 that we have. You want me to read the numbers? I know.
If you're presenting to us attendance, you should.
Yeah.
Maybe next time. That's not.
Okay. They all start with 2022, so I won't say that number over and over again. And
It doesn't have 0, 0, 1.
yes. But, so is it all right if I just read them straight down? And you know, vote for all?
Any objection to that?
So here we go. 0081, 0083, 0086, 0087, 0089, 0090, 0091, 0092, 0093, 0094, 0096. The others will start with 0. I won't say the 0, unless that changes. First one starts at 0100, then there's 101, 103, 104, 107, 109, 110, 111, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 122, 126, 128, 129, 130, 131, 133, 134, 135, 136, 138, 143. This is the oversight investigation 0151. Go back to the others. 0153, 154, 155, 156, 157. The 182 is proposal for change. 0187 and the 192 is an oversight investigation. 0198 and 208, 211, 213, 217, 219, 220, 221.
If you want to make a motion to temporarily set aside 151, 182, 192. The oversight just because of the previous stuff that we got, the one in there, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to get a new updated list. So
Okay.
and maybe we did, but I don't want to make that assumption. I know I did, so if they are in there now, yeah, take those out.
We're eliminating 0151, 0182, 0192.
Make sure it has answers. I think it's more done, so everything else. That's like making a motion to remove 182, I'm sorry, 151, 182, 192. All in favor?
Very good.
That's all.
Okay. All in favor?
So, say motion to close all these.
Yes.
Okay.
I just remember everything was figured out.
So I just want to ask, for example, let's just go to 103, 0, 103, 104. Then you got 0, yeah, 0, 1, 07. What's going on with 105 and 6?
Yeah, so those basic aspects, but they may be in a different category. Uninvestigable. So maybe in a different category or they may be investigated. So, see.
That goes back to all of them.
Yeah, so whatever the numbers are not all sequence. There's some. Right, so the other part of our report is the with the proposal for the policy and oversight vision of the organization. But, we have in front of you, there was, 2 training sessions. That team just amazing work, and so. We're asking for vote board to approve the policy agenda, which was 12 items listed. And they take either the path or both paths, the oversight for both change which will be determined as the what the topics are. Which path is.
I know a lot of the board's perspective is more on that end, but the people that I talked to about this, we set the team. We're bringing in our ideas also from, I think we had 4 members, you know, the team can make it better. We've been out in the community talking about the proposals that they have to working on. And, they've been engaging with the community about it, getting input. At the process. I think everything on here is something that we've heard from the community about. If there's anything on there that was that I haven't heard from the community member or hasn't been a topic of this kind of work out there. Accountability. We have specific instances here that we're like.
Getting one of the things that I'm one of the difficulties that I'm facing is that we tend to talk to each other. That's what we had an interest. I would say, yes. If you actually talk to somebody, a man on the street, police on speed down my street. But it's not a
I mean, the public has input. I mean, if the public sees what they're talking about, they have things they don't feel are important, they can reach out to any board member or to the, to the PAB itself.
that's passive. That's
But I think also that,
how we aggressively too.
yeah, I mean, we've had staff, we have board that have been out in the community talking to people. My impression from talking,
We have staff.
I mean, the policy team, they had a lot of cooking concessions, some of the work they did, and were things that came out of this that were part of it. Also, I don't have all that. Also, some of the research they've done. These are things that have been coming up in our community and everything on here. If there's something, I don't see anything on here that would be that caught my eye as why we're talking about this. This is like the academic, exercise that's not relative to what the community's talking about. No, I would word that was kind of like I didn't see that.
We talk about political competition. you know, politicians talk about American soft, those aren't American soft, it's not soft.
I think they already agreed.
So, you've been part of this process of discussing the policy priorities for months. And I'm not sure why you wouldn't have brought this issue up before if you felt it should be part of the process we had already. But, you know, I think it makes sense to talk, you know, future about how do we construct a process as part of this that can have more people, you know, feel the need or there's a need, which, you know, it's always good to give the input. So to structure that more formally in the future.
At a top of this, I kind of go through the report. Our policy team has been out there and doing that work, engaging the community. But also, we're supposed to have funded, you know, community outreach positions. We don't have currently funded that we fully to the way it should be. So part of the work and part of the charge that the community gave us and the council gave us is, you know, doing the community outreach. We don't have staff in that department. That full-time job is to go out and help do that work. That, you know, makes it that much harder. So I would say that was just something that needs to be funded, and we already have it funded. They need to go, just need to be approved. We put some in. But that is another barrier that we don't have those positions that we had earlier in here filled right now. But there has been outreach from staff that when they were out and we did have those positions filled, that was implemented, you know, go back into this, and I'm sure the policy team, you know, wasn't then just help select these without engagement, and they know that's.
I think I've mentioned. Yes, that's my problem. I was.
Oh, okay, that's better.
He seems to have a popular barber shop with plenty of customers.
Nothing like
Go down there, just take the list, read it off to them, that's what they think.
But actually, that's gonna be part of the process. Well, these have been working on, what you said, for quite a bit of time, and we're discussing a lot of different areas. So one of the other steps in the process is to share the information to the public. We haven't designed the process for that yet, but also in there, not just sharing it, but at that time, we expect to hear other topics that are important to the community. So we don't have a huge staff, so we have to sort of pick and choose what we want to focus on. So this is a beginning list, and I'm sure there may be others that come up, but that is part of the process. Once we decide to at least start going out, once we decide on this list to start.
Thank you.
Again, starting back in the list. It wasn't, I've been parts of teams where this is something presented to the community for the community without, you know, the community having any voice in it, and it looks odd. Did you realize that?
Actually, that was good.
Okay, but not the board. So,
But it wasn't for it, too.
All right. Okay, what's that next step?
We'll just
Yeah,
vote
this is
on.
the proposal to vote on approving this policy agenda. With the items listed below, and if you want to, however you want to make the motion. It's not exhaustive or conclusive, there's certainly these other items added, but at least to start here. And then they can take either the path of oversight or proposal for change.
I would make the motion that we would accept this proposal. How is the proposal as you presented it? And even to include that last statement that you made about the process that will take place once this has been approved. So my motion is to accept the policy proposal as
Second motion. All in favor?
Unanimous. You,
I will still remind you, in public, we can always come back to the board to add, subtract things. As we hear from the public, as there is, or something may come up from the community that policy needs to be looked at right away. We always have the opportunity to do that. And these are things, as a reminder, as we do our recommendations and reports, the second to RPD or city would have to respond to. So these aren't just things that would happen in a vacuum without any response as we respond back to our recommendations that the policy committee puts together.
Until we get something, even tomorrow, from the public that seems to be something that needs to be brought in, we make it.
yeah, high priorities.
Yes.
Which you discussed as part of.
Yeah.
That's more.
That's all I have.
On to the staff report. As was last, chair report, sorry. Yeah. Having part two to report. Sorry about that.
I had one last question. With that to do with the investigative reports. And that is, how many of the, what fraction of the reports are being held up for lack of information?
I don't have that answer. Yeah, still working on that. Lack of information from information.
What's our experience today with information that we're getting from police?
Yeah, so I know, we're still working on that. We're reconciling numbers and cases, so I still don't have a concrete number that I want.
Do we have any investigations that have what we feel is a complete book of information?
We're pretty close. Part of the completion of it is going to be interviewing witnesses, so we haven't done that piece yet. So we have some cases that are close to that. But nothing's complete, because once it's completed, it would come up from.
How approximately what would it be the time frame for getting, I know we're also looking at the time frames of when complaints came in, making sure there's an issue that within 18 months, all that reporting of getting one that is getting close to interview or and we can have something.
Well, March was our goal, and we still have to work out the process for interviewing witnesses, and so.
Having for that process to start.
We're pretty close to that. I mean, again, mid-March was the goal, and we have changes in staffing, so by next Friday, we'll have new attorneys, so that may slow the process down too, so. The goal was to at least start having some interviews in March.
So while they're right there, last meeting I was in, it was like I think a request to the board, or a recommendation from staff that we would hear some cases, get some cases, work with the staff on some cases.
Prioritizing ones to move up that we can get to.
So did we do anything?
That's what shows.
When we had a recommendation that the board would get some cases, and the last meeting I was in.
Right, that's what we're talking about, to get them to the board, but we want to make sure that we complete a case by interviewing witnesses. We haven't moved to that step yet.
But I thought, if I'm clear, that staff wanted to. So if I may be wrong, but the way I got it is like staff was kind of like at a place where they felt they could use assistance from the board. Was that?
I'm not sure what that would be in this.
We don't want to get involved with the cases until you just see us make decisions on them. I mean, what we do need, I mean, this is kind of, and our last meeting was the one you were at. This kind of goes back to, I guess, we're kind of putting it back on council to where we need to be. I mean, as you see, we have 5 board members here right now. One not able to make it, I forgot to say Daniel, but that could make the board meeting, he let us know in advance. Our last board meeting, we didn't have the last meeting. And we're at a point where without getting our board seats filled, we have one absence or two absences. We're below where we need to be to do the work, let alone agency not being fully staffed as it needs to be for them to be able to do the work. For all things that, we've been talking, that's been kind of into the sheriff's report now, but just to answer these questions a little bit, because these are things I want to reference back to. Kind of going back to us being able to do the work, once we are able to start hearing cases, when there is still the court case, we can't necessarily do full, disciplinary hearings and all that. We can't start listening to things and figuring out a legal way, which we've been talking, with the city and other RPD to make sure we can do it in a way that doesn't, break the law, but still be able to hear cases and do something with them. We need to be, have more staff, we need to be fully staffed, and we also need to have a full board. We have panels. I don't want, us to have only one or two panel possibilities, and then we aren't able to do the cases. Or somebody has a conflict. So we plenty of time to have cases. That's gonna be your neighbor or member of your synagogue or church, or somebody that, you used to work with, or I used to work with, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to, have appropriate panels. 9 board members, you can do that. 5 or 6, you're not gonna be able to do that as easily. Like with that, to getting these board seats filled, I have talked to, council, got an assurance that there's gonna be a vote at the next council member to fill at least one of the board seats. Our former board chair, Shawnee's seat, which has been open since, I think, like June of last year, way overdue, but that's an alliance seat. One of those are gonna be voted on. I know the alliance has put other names over to them.
They, for that, when's that meeting?
Whenever the next city council full meeting is, in March again. I'm not sure which date it is at the top of my head, but that is going to be voted on in March this month. There's another name the Lions have sent over, or named they've sent over for their second seat for Danielle's seat that is open. Hoping that can be done at the same meeting, like I talked about a few times before other meetings. The more board seats we have open, the worse. The quicker we can get them off field, especially if they come out in together, we can get everybody trained together. They can start doing their trainings together. They can on board together. We can, help support the work of all of us. We're doing part-time work, which is really full-time work a lot of the time. And we need, full complement of board members. I would hate to have Daniel, who wasn't able to make the meeting tonight, have to drag himself in when he wasn't able to. One of us couldn't make it. We shouldn't be in that position as individuals. That one board seat, I've been assured will be filled. The other line seat is in there. They're going to do interviews. And there's also Matthew's seat that is still open, the South Council seat. And that is on council to fill that. I'm hoping, and they said they're trying to fill that seat also, quickly, hopefully at this next meeting. Again, that's where we need to pump up the pressure on council to fill that. Or if you're interested in filling one of those seats, the Alliance has put in the names already for their seats, but the South District seat, if there isn't, I'm not sure where they are in the process of filling a name yet. As last I checked last week, they didn't have a name yet. We live in the South District of the city of Rochester. You're interested, or somebody, submit your name in so we can get that seat filled also and get a full complement. Now it comes to the the work of the agency, the outreach part. We need those positions filled. We're putting in positions getting filled, and we want to do more on top of that. When it comes to us getting our investigative team up to where they need to be, we have a lot of openings in that department, and we need to get those filled and more people in there and more people on top of the ones that have just left. And also when it comes to getting, and we're in that budget season now, making sure that we're still fully funded next year. I'll talk a little bit about, some of the action that council has taken, but our goal is of course to still get fully funded again for the next year and be able to grow into that, fulfilling those positions, over time. And these are all things that, as we're doing this work, we're running into difficulties. Our difficulties last year were, leadership. We have Sherry here in the office now, that's leading the office, but now we need to have her getting the support that she needs in regards to staffing, and council needing to support us in regards to filling those positions and getting the chief asked for immediately and then later in the budget approved. Those are things that we need help from the community for, working with them, and also council following the word in regarding to funding us and fully helping us do the work that the community has asked us to do. And
I do have one question as far as council is concerned, and I know that I had asked a couple of council members, and you two, Larry, had spoken about the process that council uses to do the appointments and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
They had mentioned that they were going to change the process or whatever, but has any council member gotten back to board as to what they were doing, what the process is that they now use, that they're gonna change?
I don't want to speak for council directly, but I know from my conversations with them, they're still trying to figure out their process going forward in the future. What I told them was, we don't have time, we're past time to wait, for that new process to come, just interview and get the positions filled. And as future openings come up, or as future appointments have to be reconsidered, they can, implement that process then, which is why I think partially why they, committed to getting shared position filled at the next board meeting. Council, they've done the interviews, they picked their recommended person, picked the person. I think they picked the person already for that alliance seat. The other interviews are in, the other seats are in from the alliance, and they said they would get to those interviews quickly. And then for the South seat, again, that's the council on its own, presenting a client, a person and getting that filled. None of these 3 seats that are open right now should be part of that new process, if they don't have the process figured out right now. They should be filled, and then going forward, as we have openings or if people need to be reappointed, which is another thing that we're working on to make sure that process is done. That's when I think the new process whatever new process they come up with can be applied. And we have 3 openings that need to be filled immediately. You don't have a process, and they need to be filled immediately at night. But that is what council is working on. I know the one for sure.
Okay, is it possible for us as a board to ask council to send us in writing the process that they're using now? Not their possible or what they're working on, but the old process. I don't know protocol, maybe that's not, maybe they don't have to tell us.
No, it's public. No, I mean, it's taxpayer money. That wasn't official. That was just,
Okay.
that was just, they're doing interviews, but that was.
Okay, but I think it would be helpful if we had some clarity as exactly what their process is. And they could send us something in writing. I'm sorry.
Filling the board seats.
Yeah. That, because we don't know what they're doing, how do we know what they changed?
Man,
What
I
did
think
they change?
what they're doing is they get a name in, they get names in, they try to set up an interview process. And then whatever engagement there is from other council members, how fast that moves. Now, the charter was written where there's an answer to that. The law says you have 90 days to fill it once, I think either from the opening or once the name is submitted. That should have been emphasis for your processes, you have to follow the law. But obviously that, there's some difficulties with that, I would say, so. Yeah.
But I would really like to read what it is that they have written along this charter that said, this is the process as council members do, this is how we vote, this is how we do the interviews, whatever. I can't call on this, it's not about me.
I'll get a couple of you say.
Okay.
But
Stop calling
I
around.
worry less about what council's doing. More about what we're doing.
Okay.
If we worry about how council is filling board seat, that means that we're losing the focus of why the city is not providing us with adequate information to investigate. For example, I'm not saying that is, I'm just saying as an example. So we should focus on the issues that
Okay, thank you.
We could do both. I mean, I think we could do that and more. I mean, I think we could do both.
I'm not being misled. And I still am not sure that I understand whether we're getting free access now to the body camera footage and other things involved in the.
Well, the charters, I mean, the body camera footage there is working on getting,
Are we getting it or are we still working?
well, the staff has access to body cam footage. So that they do have access to body cam footage.
Free access.
I mean, it's put into SharePoint where they can have access to it. But the first part of your question in regards to the charter saying we have the right to access to the databases, depend RPD to give the staff access to you know, the various databases that we need, that's still something that legal department is telling the RPA they don't have to do. That is an issue still, it's still an ongoing issue. In regards to having access to body cam footage, and there is a new system, I know there's a new system you want to talk about it? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the technical terms, I don't know necessarily, but we are working with the police department so that we can download body or camera footage. And so we put some protocol in place that we submitted to them, security assurances, those kinds of things. They're coming up with a new system themselves in the spring that will make it easier for us. So that's what we're working now to see what we can do in the interim. But when that happens, we're much closer to being able to download body-worn camera footage than we have been.
So the mere fact for me, the mere fact that staff comes to the meeting, it's, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong in my discernment, for lack of better terms. I might feel like they come hopeful and with expectation and possibly enthused that the board is meeting and something is going to come out of a meeting that is going to be helpful. I'm going to say for both you and the staff. That's an assumption. I feel like, you know, when my board meets with me, I get help, I feel helpless. That's what I'm saying. I feel helpless to Jerry, I feel helpless to you. And I feel helpless to the staff. I'm honest, I'm just being honest. I'm frustrated, I'm just honest. I feel helpless. And I honestly need to know, how can this board help with what you all are doing? I can't agree with Bob in the sense I'm okay with what we don't have, but with what we do have, how can we be a more effective board that can help you and the staff? You see us once a week. Something that you see your staff more. And I'm not even asking for an answer. I'm saying maybe when you return to the staff, what is it that the staff need for us to help them? I'm still back on my staff member who came to us and made a request. And for me, it feels like we did nothing with the request. That's how I feel. Staff member made a request last meeting I was in, and we did nothing with the request. And maybe we couldn't do anything with that request. But how can we be more effective for the staff and for you and for the staff?
Well, we need some positions filled. That's a huge thing for me right now. That's a big deal. Certainly one in our investigative unit, and we don't have a director in our oversight unit, so I'm over 2 departments plus the agency. We need staff.
And you're not being allowed to.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. The positions are not posted. So whatever process that is, if it can be pushed.
Why not they posted?
Whatever the process is, it's somewhere in the process. I don't fully understand the process.
So I want to ask that I just, and I know everybody at this table are busy and very important people. And in all honesty, with my greatest ability, I'm one of them too. And I don't want to keep coming and sitting here and honestly not doing something to help you. It's like, I look at this like you're the pastor, the deacons and the trustees. And
It's really, it's the same problem. The problem hasn't changed in the last couple of years. Whether it's hiring staff or any of that.
okay, I understand, but if
So what we need, if we either accept things as they are, or find some new strategy to go about.
so then I think those are some conversations we should have.
Yeah.
And I don't think accepting things as they are should be on the table. I think finding new strategies, which is why I continue to be finding strategies. In my line of work, I have to make stuff work. I teach 7th graders every day. They do everything. They some people call them the worst, but they're not the worst for me. Because I work on new strategies every day to make this effective for the parents, for the students, for the people. So I think I like the idea of not, we know we need board members. Whatever the process is, I think new strategies. I'm just going to stop right here and say I love the idea of new strategies.
Mr. Chairman, we know the board, people that have been proposed, that we're waiting on council act. So why don't we invite them to our meeting as council members and waiting?
Well, I think I talked to the Alliance about that, but they're welcome to come to the meetings. But I think that would, I don't have a problem with that. And hopefully they're watching if they haven't come already, the people that, but yeah.
That way, things do happen, there'd be.
I think and hopefully, I mean, I'm assuming they are, those people the names have been, I know, especially with the Alliance name, they've been advocating, on a weekly basis,
It's not a secret.
Yeah, but no, I don't want to put names out there of the actual people. Let's say.
Well, I want to say this is well, two things you said. You said it's the same problem. It's not really the same problem. When Board Member Brown, when we were in need of Board Member Brown, we didn't wait a very long time when we needed our chair. That happened when we needed Danielle, that happened.
Well, I mean, when they first found out.
So something has happened that has slowed our processing down. Because our processing hasn't always been this slow.
I think it's not selective. I was put on pretty quickly. The other opening that was around the same time I was took months, and that was an Alliance seat. So there was a difference with the council appointee, which I was, that goes to the Alliance, which had to wait. So I think that goes back to this process that we can ask more questions about. But kind of going back, I do want to answer what we can do to support. And this goes back to our continuing struggle with the city. We were appropriated a certain amount of money to fill a certain amount of staff last fiscal year. So oftentimes when city or agencies come in to ask for positions to be filled, and there's whatever back and forth over it, it's because you're asking to go above what your budget was. We are not asking to do that at all. We're asking to fill things that have already been appropriated, positions that already there's money in the budget for, and that process, which we've often talked to council about and analyzed, talked to council about of our, previous executive, interim executive director now and now sharing her position of having to get approval for positions to get filled, that money has already been appropriated for, and bureaucracy position be that process of that extra step. And that is something that we're still dealing with. I followed up, many times over the past couple of weeks since the positions went in about when they're going to get posted. some position that.
So follow-up meeting for
Talk to council, talk to the city about where are they and getting a position posted. Obviously, when Sherry put the initial names in, not gonna be posted the next day, but in a week or two, when it's been, we're coming up on, it's been almost a month now for the initial position. We have more that we're trying to push through to get filled, where that process is. And, I won't go into detail because I don't entirely understand, I don't want to mischaracterize where they are. There's a process the city goes through, things get approved once they're posted, and there's me that looks at it. It's taking forever. There's a problem with the bureaucracy with that. Hopefully we can work here better than the bureaucracy of the city, that helps fund us. But right now, that's the problem. But I have followed up on that. I think talking to your council members, we've been in public following the council members to help push that bureaucracy in the city, get those up there. And then the other ones that are following, it's really important. But that is, that is a frustration that I have. I do calls on a weekly basis to push and move those things along. But yeah, that's one thing we can do. More of those calls, more of that pressure on council. It's council members are going to be extra, attentive if you call them up.
So one of the things that we used to do is we had council and PAB in Zoom meetings together where we did.
Well, anytime anybody who wants to be a council member on, you don't have to wait for me to do a Zoom or you call them on your own, but we do have a liaison, our councilman liaison, Kim Smith, who has been pushing and, she's every week is pushing and asking and following up on removing those things. I have a call her today. She was in a meeting right before this, that you won't be able to report an update for this, so I'll follow her again tomorrow when I hear back. But yeah, it's.
But what you're talking about is, the money's there.
Yes.
The description's there.
Yes.
It's just not being done. That's different from most circumstances. You're scrounging around for the money, or you're trying to figure out how to write the position. All that stuff's been done. And it's just a bureaucratic hang-up where councils, the city's administration is interfering in the process of in our home. Because we got the money, we got the positions already been described. That's what I remember. Yeah. So.
And also, this I reported this many times last year. Part of council, when we had the investigation, our previous director, that there was slow up. There was a lot that we all went through during that. But once our new interim started, that should not. Now, I thought we had assurance that was not going to be an issue. Obviously, that's not the case. So the more pressure to put on council, move those things quicker. But yeah, just like what Dr. Harrison said, it's not the usual problems of why a city agency isn't able to get a position filled or it's unnecessarily more complicated than that. But put pressure on council, we'll follow up again, with in positions that are in and others, fill as quickly as possible. But that is a frustration for us as the board. We have more in front of us and the staff to be able to do the work they can do. And again, we don't want, this is part of the reason why, be glad when a union gets in, and then I'll leave that for now, but we don't want to burn out our staff or put them in positions that they're doing more work than they, can do as efficiently because of them not having the support that they need. This agency was not built to have, the amount of staff we have here now should be larger. And that can make the work more efficient and gets the community what they wanted. So again, follow council on that, working with our allies to do that pressure. Because I feel we all feel this frustration, and hopefully, talking about it tonight as council has meetings later this month, and as they are doing things that they want us to do in regards to doing the work, will help remind them to push it quicker. Hold on one second. They're having a lot of conversations over here. So I don't want to say like that.
So what's the status of this?
The court case, I mean?
No, we're supposed to put a matrix together.
Yeah, we're
supposed to go to the police department.
Yeah, the way police department had, well, it's kind of different.
What's the status of that? Because that's the end point for our investigation.
Well, that in the court case, but
That's what I'm saying. My understanding is we can't do an investigation till we have a disciplinary.
there's
Well, we can do an investigation. We don't know what's gonna happen when it comes to the board before the court case is decided. It may be a review,
Well, yeah, I'm not disagreeing about our ability to oppose the government. That my understanding was that we were working on measures to make recommendations
Right.
to the police department.
Right, so they have a copy of that, yes,
But they have to sign off on
yes.
No,
They don't have to sign off, they have to be aware of it, and if they have input, they can they'll share that with us. We have community input that we're
it. Have they done that?
analyzing yet. I haven't heard anything from them in terms of what they wanted, but we're working to meet with them to get that clarified, if there's any input that they want to have.
So that's another hangup.
They do have it.
But it doesn't stop us from doing what we can do right now, to go as far as we can go. Pending the court case.
Anything else for that? Well, I'm glad that there isn't any complacency with where we're at right now, because, you know, the sense of urgency that the community has for this work. And the board shares it, and the staff shares it, and I know our allies share it. I'm glad we're talking about it publicly, and let's not lose that and make sure we actually do work to make it happen. I'm committed to that, and everybody who is on the board and staff is awesome. All right, on to committee reports for training. We had a good training last week, but we have more coming up. I'm working with Jerry and staff to kind of make sure we can fill out our training schedule for the rest of the year, especially as we bring in new board members and get a lot of training there to catch up on. I did, right now we have some with CCSI, and there's others that we have to do underneath the charter that we all have to figure out. You know, when the new board members come on, and anybody that missed one, you know, filling them in. But there's a meeting coming up quickly to fill out the rest of our training, making sure we're getting everything. You know, I do, and this isn't a formal proposal yet, but I did, you know, I want to speak publicly with it, about, you know, talking to council, and then, you know, allies about, it's a lot of training that we have to do. It's really a lot, which we're required to do and that we need to do. And as a board, we meet, you know, every other week, and then we have trainings every other week. You know, I'm thinking at some point, and I don't think this would take a charge change necessarily, but I do want the board to think, the community to think about, you know, idea I had potentially of us meeting as a board, maybe once a month and maybe more as needed, but using that other day, which usually was a board meeting, either do more training so we can get them in, or as we get to our panels, you know, having our panel discussions on those same days. I want to be cognizant of not burning out the board once we get to the point of actually hearing cases and having to figure out the time we can discuss them legally, you know, and look at stuff, which we can't necessarily do if we're doing it, you know, as efficiently if we're not in the room together. But my main concern is making sure we get all the trainings in that we need, and knowing that we're going to have a lot of new board members come in, and we had two, you know, a new one with you know, a new one with Daniel, who still has trainings to get through. Maybe we've missed one or two here or there. How are we going to fit that time in without adding extra days in the week that we already are committed to other things? So as I meet with Sherry and staff to figure out how much more we have to do, want to put together another kind of matrix of what we're required to do, who's done what's left, what we have to get coming in, so we can kind of just look at it, put your name in or put a board member's name and be able to see, okay, here's 10 trainings you have to do right away. Here's 8 that you have done, you know, here's, you know, just bring all that so we can easily look at it and then figure out how do we actually put that time in an efficient manner, where we can do that and do the work. I don't want to lose the public part of having the board meeting, so I don't want to make, but I do want to make sure we actually have that work done to help inform what we're doing and getting us to the point of being able to hear the cases. I am worried as we get to where we need to be that we're not properly ready to actually hear these cases without having enough panels or people being fully trained. We have enough board members that have been here a while, where I could put together like a panel or two. We have board members that have been here, you know, for long enough. We've done enough of the trainings. But as we get to more cases, or as we get more volume, you know, we can't have the same 3 or 4 people hearing every case. We need other board members to be able to do
Well,
that.
also because an alliance member has to be on every panel,
Yeah.
that means Arlene and Daniel,
That'd be there.
you know, so
And-
that's also an impossible
Let me get to
situation.
that point. 'Cause-
I'm sorry. I didn't mean-
No, but and if one of them has a conflict, you know, or just can't do something, they're, you know, that leaves on that other alliance member. We're going to be putting people in untenable positions as board members, and that really puts the person who did the complaint in a position of them being disenfranchised, once we get everything else in order for rehearing. So I don't have a formal proposal yet, I just want to put it out there and definitely want to talk to the community, and hear input about, if we're changing the, how often we meet fully as a board to get through our trainings. And so that is something that, I'm constant of as we look at filling all these training spots, making sure that we have what is done underneath the law to actually do our work.
So, yes, I also think that we need to work to clarify, the charter has 15 training areas, which at a minimum will require 2 hours each, but really require, some of them have many categories within those, right? So say we have a minimum of 30 hours, but probably more like 60 hours of training, how realistic that is for a volunteer board where we're fitting it in, right, once a week. And one thing I don't know if it's possible to find out, but what kind of, are there comparable requirements for other city boards or other city commissioners? And if so, how do they handle that? Because it just seems like an impossibility in some ways, not a sustainable model if we're doing in-person or all-together trainings. I mean, it seems like we have to be able to at least have some of them, first of all, to say, what is a reasonable number of hours of training per year, right? And then, have some mechanism, because we can't repeat trainings every time someone comes on. So we have to have things online, we have to have things we can do individually, work out something that's sort of more sustainable in all of this. I think it's very important.
I agree.
And I look at it, obviously. Just probably trouble.
That's why I value your voice.
But, people voted on this charter. For us to try and release. And anything that we do to slow down that achievement, that process is not good for us. So, I would treat it the same way council would treat it. I would ignore what I do. I could get on with it.
We can do better than that, but I understand what you're saying. I think one of the things is prioritizing the trainings, which I think has happened to a degree, but especially when a new board member comes in, whatever, how we prioritize trainings so they can make sure they can get on the panels quicker is better. But it's a subjective too, like somebody may say this, may believe, once we have like legal training, but a training about a certain topic that is important, may not be as important as another topic. How do we rank those? But I want us all as a board to be comfortable when we start hearing our cases that we feel we have enough training and understanding that we can promptly make decisions. And I know, and this is something that, it's in the charter, with the board and the staff, trainings we're all in one group. So I think sometimes I would like the staff to have more training than us as a board, because the staff are here full-time or expert or subject matter experts and becoming more of that as they do the work. And us as a board have to have the same amount of trainings they do, but we have to figure out what that balance is. And that's something we're going to continue to work on.
In the same vein, talking about training, Sherry, I know we're supposed to do ride along. And I'm wondering, I know it's winter time, we don't know what weather's going to be. But when you speak to those at the police department, would you ask when they think they might be able to, or going to open it up?
They're waiting for us to get all of our forms in. We all don't have all our forms in.
My form has been in.
They want everybody's form in so that they can schedule the ride-alongs with the officers at the same time.
This initiative came up before.
Yeah.
Without rehashing what happened in the past, can you give us a list of whose forms are missing?
I thought there was only one form
Yeah.
missing.
Do I have yours? I know at one point you were going to drop it off, and I don't know if. Yeah, so I have 2 forms.
Yeah, but
It
I mean,
also seems like they could schedule
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, that's not, yeah.
Doesn't have to take all of us in one car.
No, but they have particular officers, I guess. That way, that's.
There'll be a couple of these they did spend a lot of-
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's take away this people on the table. That's,
You give me the forms and I'll give them to you.
Yeah.
You do it tonight.
Yeah, the forms, if you guys.
Well, I'm okay with it.
We spelled the form, we can figure out the next.
And let's throw it in.
Let's talk about it, figure out the exception. or figure out the- Okay. But, you want to take that off the table for, if they don't have the form, or we have to do it again. Right, anything else you're saying?
No, I'm not for us, but I was going to ask. Carrie, for training for the staff. I know that you had said that they were doing training or had done training. Both, they are doing, how has it worked? Because one of the things when we were at the last Alliance meeting, Alliance members seemed to be very concerned about staff morale, what staff was doing, how things were going. And how to help the staff that was here know that they were being supported. And so I used to hang around the office. I haven't been here about to talk to see how people are feeling. And my question is, for the trainings that they have done, have you noticed, and you've only been here briefly, a difference in the atmosphere? Are people still working out some of their own issues as far as how things are progressing with the work? And also, there were the Alliance members appear to be concerned about turnover. And I know that there's nothing that you can do about people who decide that they no longer want to work here. But I was wondering if, in your opinion, that seemed to be able to be stabilizing, to be telling people, get your applications ready, or people, there are more positions open. Is staffing stabilizing this?
So you have a multifaceted question, and I don't know that I can respond to all of it. There's still concerns in terms of staff, in terms of morale and stability. I'm an interim director. They need stability. They need that direction. There are certain people going that affect staff morale. You all are aware of the issues trying to move things through a bureaucracy affect staff morale. On top of that, they're doing good work. They're doing good work, and people are working. They really want to do the jobs that they're here to do. I'm trying to support them to the extent I can, and I don't know that I can provide what people need, but there's residual. People have gone through a traumatic year, and there's still feelings and concerns and impact on them. So that's not going to change in a couple of months. And yes, people leaving changes. Unfortunately, that is what's happening. I don't know if I'm answering your question, because I don't know that I have a full answer.
All right, but the walk-in wounded are still working and working through their issues.
I don't know if they're working through their issues. They're working. Now they're working on what they're hired to work on, and we're working together. We're having more meetings together with the different units, trying to create greater cohesiveness and systems and processes that are more connected as an agency. So yeah, that takes time.
That's helpful. To know that people are at least working together. Everybody is on the same page as far as putting the agency in place.
Yeah, I don't know that. I think people are committed to the mission. I really believe that. I've never heard anything different, no matter what unit they're in, they're committed to the mission and they want to do a good job with the work they're doing. The other feelings, the emotions, the residual, the trauma, of course, some of that's still there and it impacts. And so we're still trying to build trust among each other and outside of the organization.
If you would, and I still feel that somehow, just like the staff has their, whatever they have, and you say they're doing good work, I still feel that board has to be an art. If you want to use the word healing, if you want to use the word of generating morale. I can't help but put myself in a position to, I meet with my board, and I know what my issues are, and if I walk in with my boards, and I walk out with the same issues, I expect something from them.
I'm glad you mentioned that because prior to Matthew leaving, he was putting together a program. And I thought you were part of it, or he had mentioned it to you, to do something to work with staff. So that they will board people and staff coming together. And even though Matthew is not here, the need is still here. And it would be absolutely awesome to step up and take that. That would really be helpful. That way, we would be able to help staff with whatever. We had met with them, they had given us a list of concerns. We have been trying to work through that, learn where things are. Awesome. And that's where your heart is. And I think it would be an excellent person to work with that.
Well, maybe I will. I have no idea what Matthew was doing
Because he never did.
he never
But
did.
so whatever you put together, because that's where your heart is. And many of the staff are here. You get a chance to talk to them and work it out. We have our full support. We just need somebody to lead that. That's
Good offline conversation with Sherry and that, but yeah, I would, yeah, but
no,
I just, yeah, I don't want to be lost just here in board meeting, but follow up on that. And Matthew, I remember he had put together initially a proposal around that. There is some written stuff to ensure.
Well, I'm definitely willing to, I can't say pick up what Matthew, but I have no
He
idea.
didn't have anything. So you have to-
Proposal. He didn't want to get ahead of.
Did he implement
Well,
anything?
he wants it, those.
We can't work on a
No,
proposal
but,
that he's not aware of.
okay, but, no, but it was, needed to come in some ways with staff as well as from the boards. And I think we have to be very cognizant of the fact that it is not our job to be people involved in the staff in terms of supervision or, the workings of the agency, that's really Sherry's job, and we support her to do that. And, we supervise you, but we aren't, micromanaging or getting into the staff.
Okay, because it was my impression that it was more social.
Yeah.
Or more, not micromanaging, not trying to do anything, but getting to know people and build trust building. Because building trust is essential. As well as, what do you call it when everybody's able to keep a secret? I can tell you something, confidentiality.
That's
what I-
that's a key part of our work.
So as we work through that, that you have a heart for that work. It's good for one of the men of staff to step up. We're not trying to, and I'm not saying what Matthew was doing would have been fine. But he's not here, and you are thinking man. You already know how to work with a board. You're a leader. Amen.
I put a star next to your name. I'll get you that proposal. It's a two-way street. I have on to old business. Any old business? New business? To adjourn. I'll move. In favor?
Or no seconds.
Looking to adjourn for other meeting after this.
Okay.
All right, we adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry. Oh, Ricky. There's no second for adjournment.
And we always do though. Wait, did
Yeah,
you get it right this time?
Yes,
I know, I didn't.
did it right.
What time you weren't here to do it without doing a second?
Okay.
But,